actually didn't have any help when the kids were young. We couldn't even afford a nanny, to be honest. So it was just because my husband was still trying to establish his business. The kids were there, so it was difficult. But I think they're your kids, right? So you do the best for them, and I don't think I thought too much about it. It was just they were
got to do what to do, right?
I actually got a really good piece of advice from someone I used to work with. That's basically what my mentality has been raising the kids, is that you make them a part of your life, you don't make them your life. So I've always involved them in whatever we are doing. If we're going somewhere, if the kids can go, we'll go. If the kids can't go, we'll stay at home with them. So that's basically how we've raised them. So they're very comfortable sharing their stories with us, telling us what's going on. So that's basically how we've raised both the girls.
Hi Priyanka, how are you?
Good, Sanjana. Nice to be here.
So I had some questions from you just to getting to know you. How was settling down for you, like in this country?
It's a fun story. I can share it with you. I was a young bride. I was in India. My husband and I, our marriage was arranged, and we got married. I met him twice before I got married to him.
That's it?
That's it. Because he was already here.
Love at first sight.
Yes. Well, we made it work. But we got married, and I came here, and honestly, that was like my first time away from home, and I didn't know what to expect. Coming in India, we were all treated like little princesses. We have people taking care of things for us, and mom being there to cook and do everything, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you come here and you have to do everything on your own, which was a huge cultural shock. Especially from where I come. I was in the north. I grew up in Chandigarh and Ludhiana. So our lifestyles were extremely pampered over there, right? So there was always help at home and things like that. So never had to pick up after myself or anything. So now here I am, a newly married bride in America, trying to figure out how to cook, clean, do everything, right? And I wasn't working because of the visa that I was on. I was on a dependent visa, so I couldn't work. My husband would leave for work in the morning, and there I was left all to myself, and to figure out how to cook, how to clean, do the laundry, groceries, everything. Like I had no idea what to do, right? So it was.
Were you driving that time?
I eventually learned how to drive. I was driving in India, but not here. So
that even gets harder,
exactly.
You're driving.
But the good part was that we were living in Sunnyvale at that time. So everything was very accessible, walking and everything. So, and when you're young, you don't really think too much about it. You're like, okay, I'll just go pick up 2 bags of groceries and come back. So, it was a learning experience. But then eventually, I knew better, and I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to drive here. So one day, I just picked up my car, and I was like, I'm going to drive around the neighborhood and see whether I can manage myself or not. And that's how I started driving. So
you had to remember the curb situation, right?
So I eventually took some driving lessons, but it was at least inner city and close by. I didn't go on a freeway for the longest time because I was just scared of the speed the traffic would move at. But city driving was something that I started fairly early. So
once you had the driving taken care of, now you have wheels, you could go anywhere.
Exactly, and that's what my husband regrets till date, honestly. Because then I figured out where the mall was and what
everything.
It was easy after that because I had nothing to do. I was at home, so I was like, okay, my free time, I'm just gonna go shopping, and that was a bug I caught, and he's still paying for it. So
that's awesome. And then family started soon after that.
Very soon, actually, and that was another part that was part of the whole transition. As soon as I came here, is when we found out that we're pregnant with our first child.
Okay.
So it was not just learning to settle down, but also dealing with all the, hormones of pregnancy and
yeah.
mood swings and, getting to even know each other as husband and wife, because we barely spent time with each other. So it was stressful but fun, I guess, at the same time.
Adventurous.
Exactly. Every day was a new adventure. So.
Okay. And so your first one was born, and then so very soon, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So you came and you were pregnant that time.
Yeah. So she was born. She was actually a premature baby. So she was born 6 weeks early. Actually, not 6 weeks, 8 weeks earlier from her due date. So that was also another stressful thing, and we had no one to help us. We were planning on family coming close to my original due date. But then, I went into labor, and there was no one to help us. It was just my husband and I. But fortunately, over here, friends become family. So I had a really, really close friend who was there to support me and, kind of walk me through everything. At that time, like 21 years ago, we didn't have FaceTime or anything. And calls were expensive too. So, there was only...
There were no smartphones.
Exactly. So there was only limited access to my mom and everything. So, but, the baby was born. She was in the NICU for about 6 weeks before we were able to bring her home.
Okay.
So by the time we brought her home, my sister-in-law was able to come to help us. So she stayed with us for about 6 weeks before she left, and then I was on my own, taking care of the baby and the husband, and doing everything.
So everything happened as I'm listening to you. Wedding was fast. And then baby was fast.
Yep. She was there on our first anniversary.
Okay. The second one too?
No.
The second anniversary?
No. So for the second one, we were smarter. So what happened was then after the first one was born, we kind of started trying to settle down with work and, what we want to do with our careers. My husband decided to take a plunge. He was in a full-time job. He decided to quit that and start his own company.
Okay.
So I started helping him with that. So, and we both got busy growing the company. So that became our second baby. And then, we waited for about 7 years before we planned the second one. So the second one was definitely planned. But we had our company as our baby in between. So we were working.
And you were enjoying her to the fullest, right?
Yeah. So that was interesting and fun, so.
So any other challenges you remember? So cooking was a challenge, and then baby and pregnancy and baby and everything. Any other thing you remember? Like
just getting used to the lifestyle here. It's one thing what you see in the movies and all of that, but living it day to day is very, very different, right? In India, you grow up with large families, or you have friends and relatives around you.
Yeah.
We didn't have anyone here, so just building that social circle, making friends. It's that to me, I think, was like the biggest transformation. Like that. Or you have to call somebody and take time to go meet with them, not just show up at somebody's house. So that I think was a little bit, that social transformation was a little bit more challenging and more emotional than, everything else. It's like with everything else, you just take it because, you have to cook food for your family, you have to clean for them. So they have to deal with my awful cooking, that's a different thing.
So you learned how to cook, or was it like when you came here, or was it natural? Were you watching? Like you saw your mom cooking or your help at home?
It was a little bit, I would say all of it. Like once I got engaged to my husband, my mother was like, my father actually was like, at least chai banani sikh le, kind of a thing, right? So they put me in
basic
they put me in these cooking classes.
Oh, boiling an egg probably.
Yeah, but cooking classes don't teach you the basic food, right? They'll teach you the fancy pastas and this and that. And it was, for my father, it was like, oh, you're going to America, so you should learn all of those things, right? Whereas my husband turned out to be somebody who does not like anything else but Indian food for meals at home. He'll eat other food outside, but at home he wants Indian food all the time. So I basically learned through experimenting on him. I had a joke with him. I'm like, मेरे को बता दे किस कलर का खाना खाना है and I'll make it that, because I didn't know one dal from the other.
It's the green or the red.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, tell me which color food you want to eat, and I'll figure out how to make it. So there were a lot of fights on this doesn't taste right, and this is not how it's supposed to be. But
And I guess that time even YouTube was not there that much.
Exactly.
To watch those recipes.
So I had to keep my mom on the phone with me and be like, okay, tell me, I'm making dal. How much dal should I make? And what do I do? How many whistles to the pressure cooker and this. So I would keep her on the phone, and then my husband would yell at the call bills. He's like, you spent $800 on the phone calls. What were you doing?
Just to learn a dal.
Exactly.
But you wanted that home like taste for him.
Exactly. So.
Because that is interesting. So, okay. And then what else did you? So your daughter, you said she's older now, and then the kids are older now. So what do you do now? Like, how do you spend your time? Or you still work with your husband? Right?
No, I don't work with my husband anymore. His company is doing well. So I decided to kind of do something on my own because while the company was growing, he needed help. So I was there, but eventually it was like I wanted to be a wife and not his colleague. So it was better that I kind of moved out. So right now I work for a company called Intuit. They do QuickBooks, TurboTax, and all those things. So I'm a part of their talent team. So planning, strategy, and all of that. So I enjoy doing what I do. So.
That's good. And so you have you started helping him with his business, and then you thought, okay, let me just do something where I can use my or maybe of my own or something like
exactly.
that.
So just wanted to venture out and see what's out there. So
and then so culture wise, do you see the kids are kind of do they go back home, or how
we do
visit
that? Back home a lot, and our families visit us very frequently. Of course, we did have that huge break during the pandemic. All of us did, right?
Yes, yeah.
But otherwise, we try to go back home at least once a year, and then family will visit us for some time, whether it's my mom or my husband's mom or whoever. So, but so the kids have a lot of interaction with family. As far as culture at home is concerned, I think we're very mixed. I wouldn't say we're very Indian or very American. I think all households are a good blend. So that's what I would say. I mean, my kids will go to the Gurdwara for a part, or they'll do if we have part at home, they'll sit and they'll attend it. They know their ardas, and they've attended Gurdwara camp when they had to. So we've tried to expose them to all of those things.
So a good mix, and going to schools here, they they are more like a global kind of. So,
and we love to travel with them so that they can just get that exposure. So every year we try to at least take one trip to a different country, just so that they can see what the cultures are. I mean, me and my husband, we didn't have that opportunity growing up in India to be able to do that. Yeah. But now that we have that, the resources to expose them, we're very conscious of doing that. So.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, and when you go and visit, you see what different cultures are, or or do you Airbnb, or do you just would you go stay in hotels?
It's a mix of all
everything,
of it. It's not like, we have to do a certain way. We try to do as much as we can with locals. Usually what we'll do is we'll try to get ourselves a guide if you're going to some place for the first time, and then make sure that they are able to show us the local stuff, do things locally, because as tourists all you can do is look at what the itinerary is, but if you have those guides, then that usually brings you closer to what the country is.
It's more efficient based on how much time we have, right?
Exactly. And we're kind of lazy people, so we don't like to go to multiple places when we're going for vacations. We'll do one place and we'll stay there for a week or 10 days and explore that place, so that we can take those memories back, and we're not thinking, we didn't spend enough time here, we have to go back. So we'll try to.
So take your time to exploring and everything.
Yeah.
And then the kids, they also do they learn the mother tongue, or they usually, or is it one side? Mostly, I've like I've seen that, mostly it's like we're talking to them in the mother tongue, they're responding.
That's basically how it is. That's basically how it is in our household too.
Mm-hmm.
We tried when they were young to teach them, but my older one, because she was a premature baby, her her learning patterns were a little slow, and we initially would speak to her in Hindi, and she was very comfortable speaking Hindi and Punjabi both. But as she started going to school, she had that difficulty adapting. So then we eventually had to transition. But with my younger one, we didn't even try. We were like, we're already speaking English. So that's what she does. But both of them understand both Hindi and Punjabi really well.
That's
but they're just not able to converse. And
Yeah.
the other thing is they might try, but they feel like we make fun of them that they have that accent. So they're like, we're not speaking.
I've seen that many times,
Yeah.
in many households, we all try, but then the kids hesitate, and then we like, okay, let them at least talk to us,
Exactly. We tried, but we failed miserably at it. So then, at least they're able to understand their grandparents. They know enough that, if someone that cannot speak English, if they're speaking Hindi or Punjabi, they'll be able to have a conversation with them. So it'll be slow, but they'll be able to work their way through it.
So raising kids here, was that a challenge for you, or because of family here, it was pretty easy?
No, I actually didn't have any help when the kids were young. We couldn't even afford a nanny, to be honest. So it was just because my husband was still trying to establish his business. The kids were there, so it was difficult. But I think they're your kids, right? So you do the best for them, and I don't think I thought too much about it. It was just they were
got to
part
do
of
to do, right?
I actually got a really good piece of advice from someone I used to work with. That's basically what my mentality has been raising the kids, is that you make them a part of your life, you don't make them your life. So I've always involved them in whatever we are doing. If we're going somewhere, if the kids can go, we'll go. If the kids can't go, we'll stay at home with them. So that's basically how we've raised them. So they're very comfortable sharing their stories with us, telling us what's going on. So it's that's basically how we've raised both the girls. So.
How was it like? I've always seen that happen. Like, communication with the kids. It's always like, okay, how do you make sure they are talking to you? Like, as parents of two girls, what do you think? What worked the most? Like communication with both of them.
With my older one, it was never difficult, to be honest. I think that because I was so young when I had her, I think we both look at each other as friends. So we share a really, really close relationship. It's been easy with her, right? Like, she's always been like, Mom, this is what's going on. Or if her first boyfriend, I was the first one to know, or her first crush. I never had to put in any extra effort. With my younger one, I'm actually very blessed that she has a very close relationship with her sister. So they both share, and then I get that information through that channel.
That's nice.
But both the kids know that actually my husband's also very close with them. So he will, we struggled a little bit during COVID, and I think everyone did emotionally, but overall I think we've just been very open with them on how we feel about things, and we've encouraged them to share what they're going through.
So basically keeping an open communication with
as
them,
much as possible,
listening to them, that's always like I've seen like kids would talk less, and like we want to get more info from them. It's always...
I've tried not to make it feel like I'm trying to get information from them, but yes, that is the motive at the end of the day. But how you converse or how you tell, like my approach always is I'll share with them how my day was, for them to tell me how their day was, right? And then you can start asking them questions. Okay, who's this friend? What happened? And then go back. Couple of days later, go back to that conversation. Hey, what happened with this friend? Is everything okay? So they know you're listening, and when they feel that you're listening, then they start talking
share more.
Yeah.
Any aha moments, as you settling down, anything you feel proud of, like, oh wow, I did this. It could be because of coming to this country, or it could just be an evolving process. Um,
There are a lot actually.
okay, we'll start listing them.
I would say, my first aha moment was when I went after I started working and everything. When I went to go buy my first car, right? Just the fact that you could go and buy a car. To me, that felt like a sense of accomplishment that yes, all your hard work is paying off.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think it's the little things, right? My first paycheck, when I first got my first paycheck, I was like, I felt so proud of myself, right? That I'm doing something. So because again, the kind of household that I come from, the family that I come from, I was one of the first girls to start working outside. Because my dad was extremely protective of all of us. So it was like, get married and go to your house and take care of your house, right? So for him to adapt to that also was a huge transition. That my daughter's working, and so to get that first paycheck and to go buy your first car, I think was a huge accomplishment.
And then going to shopping malls afterwards, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think financial freedom is really important, right?
Yeah. And that's something that we're trying to induce in our girls as well. I'm like, you girls need to be financially independent. Make sure that you're financially secure before you decide to do anything else in your life. Yeah.
That is so important. I think for obviously it's important for girls and boys, but for girls it's a little bit, because I feel like it's just, I don't know why, but I just feel like maybe because it's
I think I think for girls it's a little bit more important because we're still transitioning from being a male-dominated society to being more equal. I mean, I'm all for equal rights for everyone.
Yes, yeah.
And I appreciate men for all the hard work that they've been doing for us over all these years. But I think right now we're at that phase where we need to empower the girls a little bit more so that they can be where they have to be. I think boys or men in general already have that provider sentiment in them. I think women need to change that.
Yes,
and, like we've been nurturers, now we need to be nurturers and providers. So
both.
And for men too. Men need to learn how to be nurturers, right? So.
Yeah, everybody has to do everything.
Exactly. It's a 50-50 partnership now.
No, that's nice. Yeah. So I feel like being able to work and socially, I feel like as you said you just feel more valuable, right? Is that how it is, right?
Absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, Sanjana, I'm actually very glad that I'm raising my girls here because I can raising them here, not that things are changing in India now, right? I sometimes tend to look at things from the point of view of when I left the country 22 years ago, right? We were still a lot more conservative. Things have changed now, things are transitioning in India too. But I honestly feel that, the way I've been able to raise my girls here, they don't feel that they're any less than boys, right? And the freedom that I'm able to give them and the freedom of thought more than anything else, right? Is what I think is like my biggest accomplishment here so far. So
okay, so that is the main aha then.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Yeah, so there were challenges. I heard like there were a lot of challenges, but you handled them really well, right? With the starting here with the like a brand new bride. And then it was like expecting baby as very soon, and then all the baby was born earlier, so you had to all that
becoming a mom as soon as
and then along with your learning to cook, and that's a lot of actually.
It was it did get overwhelming at times. I'll be honest, the first 2 years of my being here, I actually didn't like it. I was like, I wanted to go back very, very badly, but I knew that my husband wanted to be here, so I had to work through it. my first 2 years over here, I was like, I don't want to live here. I want to go back. I will do anything to go back.
Yeah.
But now it's the exact opposite. Now I'm like, I'll go visit, but I'm not going back.
And I guess you probably were missing your family too, right? That time.
I think it was more about the support because I'd never been away from family, right? I'd never lived all by myself. Even when, even with college and school, I was always at home. So I never had that opportunity to be away from family. So being away and then being married, having a child, all of those things were overwhelming, to be honest.
So when you were getting married, did you want to go abroad, or it just so happened?
It just so happened.
It just so happened.
It happened. I wasn't even looking to get married. I was happy going to school. I was in college.
Okay.
I was actually getting ready to give my entrance exams for my master's. And along came this eligible bachelor that the way we met was that our families knew each other, and he was already here, the families met one day, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, why not we do this, It was more like dosti ko rishtedari ko badal dete kind of a thing.
I was like, oh, okay.
But the good thing is that my husband and I, when we first met, we didn't feel like strangers. It's maybe because the families knew each other, so there was a certain level of comfort, even though we had never met before.
It could be that marriages are made in heaven, probably.
Could be. We've been married 22 years.
So your siblings are back in India?
My sister is, so I have a younger sister and a younger brother. My sister's in Canada.
Okay.
And my brother is in India. He lives with my mom.
He lives, okay. So at least there is somebody there to,
Yeah, for sure.
And that is nice. Yeah, I guess the initial years are always like you miss your parent, and
Yep.
and you don't know what to do in this.
It wasn't easy, especially just having not been away from home ever.
You're not used to that,
exactly.
Then, right? Yeah.
And I never actually thought through, it was like when the whole marriage was decided, it was more about the excitement of getting married, or what kind of a dress you're gonna wear, who's coming to the wedding. You don't really think of life after marriage per se. I never really thought about, oh, I have to cook and I have to clean, right? But that was again, it was.
Or I'll be away from everybody.
Exactly. So
yeah. Well, you did a lot. You accomplished a lot, and then you settled down really well, and I think that's a lot to do with your own strength, right? Because ultimately I feel like it's women have to manage everything, with the kids and the family and the husband and everything, house and everything, right? And then career wise too, so that is nice. That is very nice.
I would say that it's my attitude has been, I'll take every day as it comes. I don't like to overthink things. I'm like, I'll take one day at a time. I leave the future planning to my husband. I'm like, I'm focused on today. So I think that's what kept me going.
Taking it easy and taking
it as it comes. So
that is important.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Priyanka. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much, Sanjana.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So that's fun.
That was
great.
fun. That was fun.
If you wanna talk about anything at all, then you know who to call. Just tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Just tell Sanjana.